the finishing touches, not much left to do. The screws here, or the nuts here, were tightened up to secure the controls. This piece here will sit on top, and we tighten it down with a nut on top. We put a zip tie through here. The antenna, you can run it this way and then secure it down here. Just make sure it's out of the way of the props. Or you can run it out the top like I did here. And then we'll get a piece of shrink tube and slide it over. And then go ahead and heat it up. And when you do, this makes for a very strong way to put on your antenna and to keep it out of the props. So we need to do this. The battery plug, I put a zip tie here and give it a little bit of room for it to move. And this will give you strain relief for the wiring. When you get in a crash, you're going to eject the battery one time or another. If you do, this wiring here could pull the pads out and ruin your ESC. So make sure you have some kind of strain relief here, and putting a zip tie, and make sure it goes around the wood on this one and not your wiring here. So make sure it goes around the wood, and this will give you great strain relief in whenever you get in your crash. The other thing we need to do is put your hook and loop, your Velcro on. I put the loop here and the hook on the battery. You can do it however you want. And then we need to run the battery straps, and they slide right in like that. When the battery is installed with the straps and the Velcro, then it makes for a very good battery installation. And I think that, completes the quad. Antenna mount, strain relief, battery straps, your hook and loop, and I think that's it. The next thing is your props. This was clockwise, counterclockwise, clockwise, counterclockwise. Install your props the same. Clockwise, counter, clock, counter. Okay. What I would do, these are the 5-inch props. What I would do though is, if you're first time, if you're learning, until you get comfortable, I would use the 4-inch props that are included in your stem kit, and it's installed the same way. you'll want your clockwise, counterclockwise, clockwise, and counter. So clock, counter, clock, counter. The 4-inch props are going to tame it down some. Not crazy amount, but some. And that's the perfect, I think, way to start learning how to fly. So you'll tame it down a little bit with the smaller props after you get very comfortable, then go over to your larger props. Really suggest that. It works. The one other thing is that when you installed your controls, these screws here were quite a bit longer. I cut about half inch off of the screws. So I cut about a ½ inch off. And when you do, I used a pair of wire cutters. This will be pretty sharp after you do it. You may want to file that down a little bit, you know, to make sure it doesn't stick you. When you do file it down, if you file it down, make sure you do it this way so that none of the file shavings get into the controls. If you do, most likely you're going to burn out the controls. So make sure it's turned upside down and you do not get any of the you know, file shavings into your controls. That's super important. Okay, this length that's left over, if you cut a ½ inch off, I mean, you don't have to cut any off if you don't want to right now, but if you cut a ½ inch off and you want to put a GoPro camera or something on it, they normally screw on like this. So to give you enough length here to be able to put a screw to hold your camera mount on. But you don't have to cut them off at the beginning. You can just leave it the length and cut it later on. Anyway, I think that's it. This is Danny with QuadLugs. We'll see you next time.